Christmas has always been my favorite time of year. The lights, the music, the warmth of family gathering together. This year was supposed to be extra special. 4 years married to Megan and I had finally saved enough to buy her the diamond necklace she dreamed about. I thought this would be our perfect Christmas, but I had no idea that in just a few hours my wife would destroy everything I believed in, with a single slap and a lie that turned my whole family against me. Before I tell you how my Christmas turned into a nightmare, let me know where you are watching from. Drop a comment below with your location, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear how I expose the truth. Trust me, you will not believe what happened next. Let me take you back to that morning when I still believed my marriage was perfect. My name is Finn, and I met Megan 6 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She had just graduated from college, full of energy and ambition. I remember the way she laughed that night, how her eyes lit up when she talked about her dreams. I was 26 at the time, working as a software engineer, and I thought I had found the one. We dated for 2 years before I proposed, and she said yes without hesitation. Our wedding was small but beautiful. Just close family and friends gathered in a garden ceremony. I remember looking at her walking down the aisle and thinking I was the luckiest man alive. 4 years of marriage followed, and I believed we were building something real. I worked hard at my job, got promoted twice, and we bought a small house in the suburbs of New Jersey. We talked about having kids someday, maybe getting a dog first. Everything seemed perfect. But looking back now, I realize I missed all the signs. About 6 months before that Christmas, things started to shift. Megan began working late almost every night. She said there was a big project at her marketing firm, something that could lead to a major promotion. I believed her. Why would I not? She was my wife. She changed her phone password around that time. When I asked about it, she laughed and said she just wanted more privacy. I did not push. She started going to the gym more often, bought new clothes, changed her hair. I thought she was just taking better care of herself. I even complimented her on it. And then there was Derek. She mentioned him casually at first. Her new manager. So smart, so successful, such a great leader. She talked about him more and more as the months went on. I felt a small twinge of something I could not name, but I pushed it down. I trusted my wife completely. On Christmas morning, I woke up early to make Megan breakfast, pancakes with strawberries, her favorite. The diamond necklace was hidden in my coat pocket, waiting for the perfect moment. I had saved for 8 months to afford it, skipping lunches and picking up extra freelance work on weekends. I wanted to see her face when she opened that box. But Megan seemed off that morning. She kept checking her phone, typing quick messages, and then putting it away. When I asked if everything was okay, she just smiled and said she was nervous about seeing my family. I accepted that explanation. I should not have. We drove to my parents' house around noon. My father, Richard, and mother, Patricia, had decorated the entire house with lights and garlands. The smell of roast turkey and apple pie filled the air. My younger sister, Chloe, was already there helping Mom in the kitchen. Aunts, uncles, and cousins filled the living room with laughter and conversation. Everyone greeted Megan warmly. My mother hugged her tight and told her how beautiful she looked. My father shook her hand and asked about her work. Megan smiled and played the part of the perfect daughter-in-law. But I noticed Chloe watching her with a strange expression. My sister had never been Megan's biggest fan, though she never told me why. Throughout the afternoon, Megan kept disappearing to the bathroom. Each time she came back, I noticed her eyes looked different, like she was somewhere else entirely. When I put my arm around her waist during dinner, she flinched slightly before relaxing. These tiny moments added up, but I was too blind to see the pattern. We all sat down for dinner around 5 in the evening. Candles flickered on the table, and everyone raised their glasses for a toast to family and good health. I was planning to give Megan the necklace right after dessert, in front of everyone. I wanted my family to see how much I loved her, but I never got that chance. Halfway through the meal, Megan suddenly put down her fork. The sound of metal hitting porcelain made everyone look up. Her face had gone pale, and her hands were trembling. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. The room fell silent. I reached for her hand. "Megan, what is wrong? Are you feeling sick?" She pulled away from me like my touch burned her, and then she started crying. Not quiet tears, but loud, dramatic sobs that echoed through the dining room. "I cannot do this anymore," she said, her voice cracking. "I cannot pretend everything is fine." My mother stood up, concern written all over her face. "Sweetheart, what is the matter? Talk to us." Megan looked around the room, making sure she had everyone's attention. Then she pointed directly at me. "I went to the doctor last week," she announced. "I have an STD, and your son gave it to me." The silence that followed was deafening. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Every face in that room turned to look at me with shock and disgust. I stood up, my legs shaking. "That is impossible. Megan, I have never been with anyone else. There has to be some mistake." She laughed bitterly, tears streaming down her face. "A mistake? The only mistake I made was trusting you. You have been cheating on me, and now I have proof of what kind of man you really are." I felt like the ground was crumbling beneath my feet. I looked around at my family, searching for anyone who might believe me. But all I saw was disappointment and anger. "Megan, I swear to you I have never cheated. I would never do that. Please, we need to talk about this privately." That was when she walked toward me. Her eyes were cold, nothing like the woman I had married. Before I could react, she raised her hand and slapped me across the face with all her strength. The sound echoed through the room. My cheek burned, but the pain in my chest was worse. My own mother gasped, but did not move to help me. My father's face had turned to stone. "You disgusting liar," Megan spat. "You ruined my life." My mother rushed to Megan's side, wrapping her arms around her. "Oh, you poor thing. I am so sorry this happened to you." My father stood up and walked toward me. His eyes held no warmth, only cold fury. "How could you do this, Finn? How could you betray your wife like this?" "Dad, I did not do anything." "She is lying. I do not know why she is saying this, but I swear on my life I have been faithful." He shook his head slowly. "I think you should leave. Now, do not come back until you can explain yourself." I looked around the room one last time. My aunts whispered to each other, shaking their heads. My cousins avoided my eyes. And Megan stood in my mother's embrace, sobbing into her shoulder while occasionally glancing at her phone. Only Chloe remained silent, standing in the corner with her arms crossed. She was not looking at me with disgust like everyone else. She was looking at Megan with suspicion. But no one spoke up for me. Not a single person. I walked out of that house into the freezing December night. Snow was falling softly, covering the ground in white. Through the window I could see the warm glow of lights and the silhouettes of my family comforting my wife. The wife who had just destroyed everything. The diamond necklace was still in my pocket. 8 months of saving for a woman who had just shattered my world with a lie. The drive home was a blur. I do not even remember how I got there safely. When I walked into our empty house, the Christmas tree we had decorated together stood in the corner, lights still twinkling. Presents sat underneath it, wrapped in shiny paper. A mockery of the life I thought I had. My phone buzzed. A text from Megan. "Do not come home tonight. I am staying with your parents. I need space to process what you did to me, what I did to her." The words made me want to scream. I sat on the couch in complete darkness, staring at nothing. How had this happened? How had my perfect Christmas turned into this nightmare? I replayed every moment of my marriage, searching for something I might have done wrong, but there was nothing. I had been faithful, devoted, completely in love with my wife. The next few days were torture. I called my parents at least a dozen times. They never answered. I sent Megan messages begging to talk, to work this out, to at least let me explain. She ignored every single one. Meanwhile, the rumors spread through my extended family like wildfire. By the day after Christmas, I started receiving angry calls from relatives I had not spoken to in years. My uncle called me a disgrace. My grandmother, who was 87 years old, left me a voicemail saying she was ashamed to call me her grandson. At work, I could barely function. I made mistakes I had never made before. My supervisor pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay at home. I lied and said yes. What else could I say? By the third night I was starting to believe them. Maybe I was the monster they all thought I was. Maybe I had done something terrible and blocked it from my memory. The isolation was making me lose my grip on reality. On the fourth day my phone rang. I almost did not answer when I saw it was Chloe, but something made me pick up. "Finn," her voice was barely above a whisper. "I need to talk to you. But not on the phone. Meet me at the coffee shop on 5th Street in an hour. Do not tell anyone. Chloe, what is this about? Just come, please." I grabbed my coat and drove to the coffee shop. Chloe was already there, sitting in a booth in the back corner. She looked around nervously before waving me over. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "I know everyone thinks you are guilty, but I do not believe it." Those words hit me like a wave of relief. I felt tears sting my eyes. "Why? Why do you believe me when no one else does?" Chloe leaned forward. "Because I saw something that night." When everyone was comforting Megan, I noticed she kept looking at her phone, not like someone who just found out devastating news. More like she was waiting for something, or someone. I did not understand at first. "What do you mean?" "She went to the bathroom at one point," Chloe continued. "I walked past the door and heard her talking to someone," she said, and I quote, "It worked." He believed everything. My blood ran cold. She said that word for word. And Finn, I am a nurse. I know how people react to traumatic medical news. Megan's reaction was not genuine. It was performative. She planned this. But why? Why would she do this to me? Chloe reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "That is what you need to find out. But first you need to get tested. If you are clean, that is your proof." I went to the clinic the very next day. The doctor was professional and discreet. He took blood samples and told me the results would be ready in 3 days. 3 days of waiting, of not knowing, of hoping I could prove my innocence. When the results came back, I stared at the paper for a full minute before the words sank in. Negative. Across the board, completely negative. No STD of any kind. I was clean. I called Chloe immediately. She picked up on the first ring. "I am clean," I told her. "Completely negative." "I knew it," she said. "Now we need to find out who really gave her that infection." That is when everything started to click into place. Derek. The name Megan had mentioned so many times over the past 6 months. Her brilliant manager. The man she admired so much. I called my best friend Marcus that same day. Marcus was a lawyer, sharp and resourceful. When I told him everything, he did not hesitate. "This is serious, Finn. If she is lying, we need evidence before you confront her. I know a private investigator. He is discreet and thorough. Let me make some calls." Within 48 hours, the investigator was on the case. He followed Megan wherever she went. And what he found made my stomach turn. The first photos arrived on my phone. Megan and Derek at an upscale restaurant downtown. They were sitting close together, his hand covering hers on the table. They were laughing, leaning into each other like lovers. More photos followed. Megan getting into Derek's car. Megan and Derek entering a hotel together. Megan kissing Derek in a parking garage, thinking no one could see. 6 months. They had been having an affair for 6 months while I worked overtime to buy her that necklace. While I planned our future together. While I trusted her completely. But there was more. Marcus used his connections to dig deeper into Derek's background. What he found was the final piece of the puzzle. Derek had a history. His previous girlfriend had publicly accused him of giving her an STD and refusing to take responsibility. He had settled the matter quietly, but the records were there, if you knew where to look. Megan got the infection from Derek, and when she found out, she panicked. Rather than admit her affair, she decided to blame me first, to strike before I could discover the truth. I sat in my living room holding the photographs of my wife with another man. The pain was unbearable, but beneath that pain, something else was growing. A cold, steady determination. She had humiliated me in front of my entire family. She had turned everyone I loved against me. She had tried to destroy my reputation, my relationships, my entire life. Now it was time for the truth to come out. And it would come out the same way her lies did, in front of everyone. New Year's Eve was approaching. I knew my family would be gathering again at my parents' house to celebrate. Megan would be there playing the victim, soaking up their sympathy. She probably thought she had won. She was wrong. I prepared everything carefully. I printed copies of my test results, the photographs, the text message records I had obtained from our shared phone plan. Hundreds of messages between Megan and Derek, some of them explicit, others coldly strategic. One message in particular stood out. Megan had written to Derek, "If he finds out, I will just blame him first. No one will believe him over me." I contacted Derek directly. He tried to deny everything at first, threatened to call the police. But when I told him I had photographs, text messages, and his medical history on file, he went silent. When I told him I would expose everything publicly unless he cooperated, he agreed to show up. Marcus would come with me for legal support. Chloe knew what was happening and promised to be there. On New Year's Eve, I put on the same suit I had worn on Christmas Day. I looked at myself in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. The naive, trusting husband was gone. In his place stood someone harder, someone who had learned a painful lesson about the people he loved. At my parents' house, the party was in full swing. Through the window, I could see everyone gathered in the living room. Megan sat in the center of the couch, my mother on one side, a sympathetic aunt on the other. She was dabbing at her eyes with a tissue, telling some story that made everyone shake their heads in pity. My father stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, probably talking about what a disappointment his son had turned out to be. They had no idea what was coming. I opened the front door and stepped inside. Marcus followed close behind. The conversation stopped immediately. Every head turned toward me. Megan stood up, her face going white. "Finn, what are you doing here?" My father moved toward me, his expression thunderous. "I told you not to come back. Get out of my house." I held up my hand. "I am not here to cause trouble. I am here to tell the truth. And I have proof." Megan laughed nervously. "What proof? More lies?" I looked directly into her eyes, the eyes I had once loved more than anything in this world. "No, Megan, the only liar in this room is you." I pulled out the test results first. "This is from a certified clinic dated 3 days after Christmas. I tested negative for everything. No STD. Nothing. If Megan is infected, she did not get it from me." I handed the paper to my father. He read it slowly, his frown deepening. Megan tried to interject. "That is fake. He probably paid someone to forge it." I ignored her and pulled out the photographs. "These were taken over the past week. Your daughter-in-law with her boss, Derek. The first photo showed them holding hands. The second showed them kissing. The third showed them entering a hotel together. I spread them out on the coffee table for everyone to see." My mother picked up one of the photos, her hands shaking. "Megan, is this you?" Megan's face contorted. "Those are photoshopped. He is trying to frame me because I exposed him." I pulled out the printed text messages. Months of conversations between Megan and Derek. Romantic messages, plans to meet in secret, and this one. I read it aloud. "If he finds out, I will just blame him first. No one will believe him over me." The room went completely silent. Then the front door opened again. Derek walked in, his face pale and sweaty despite the cold. Megan's eyes went wide with genuine terror. "Derek, what are you doing here?" I stepped aside to let him stand in full view of everyone. "Tell them the truth, Derek. Tell them where Megan really got that infection." Derek could not meet anyone's eyes. He stared at the floor, his shoulders hunched. For a long moment he said nothing. "Tell them," I repeated. Finally he spoke. "It was me. I gave it to her. We have been seeing each other for 6 months." Megan screamed. "Shut up, do not say another word." But it was too late. The truth hung in the air, undeniable and devastating. My mother slowly turned to face Megan. Her expression had completely transformed. "Is this true? After everything we did for you, after we defended you," Megan broke down. Not the calculated tears from Christmas, but genuine sobbing born of desperation. "I did not mean for it to happen. Derek and I had just started as friendship. I was scared when I found out about the infection. I did not know what to do. I thought if I blamed Finn first, no one would ever discover the truth." She looked around the room, searching for any remaining sympathy. But every face had turned cold. Even my mother, who had held her so tenderly just a week ago, now looked at her with disgust. My father walked over to me. "Son, I am so sorry. We should have listened to you. We should have trusted you." I nodded but did not say anything. The apology felt hollow after everything that had happened. I turned to face Megan one last time. I loved you. I really did. I would have done anything for you. But you did not just cheat on me. You tried to destroy my life, my reputation, my relationship with my own family. I cannot forgive that. I will not. Marcus, here is my lawyer. You will be hearing from us about the divorce. I walked toward the door. Chloe ran after me and threw her arms around my neck. I am proud of you, Finn. So proud. Behind me, I could hear my mother demanding that Megan leave. My father was on the phone, probably calling other relatives to tell them the truth. And Megan was still sobbing, but no one was comforting her anymore. I stepped out into the cold night air. Snow was falling gently, just like it had on Christmas. But this time I was not broken. I was free. The divorce was finalized within 3 months. With the evidence of infidelity, Megan had no ground to stand on. She did not contest anything. I kept the house, the car, everything we had built together. She left with nothing but her suitcases and her shame. Derek was fired from the company for violating workplace relationship policies. Last I heard, Megan lost her job too a few months later. I did not follow up on what happened to either of them. They were no longer my concern. The road to healing was not easy. For weeks after the divorce was final, I would wake up in the middle of the night reaching for someone who was not there. I would see something funny and want to share it with her, before remembering. The habits of 4 years do not disappear overnight, but I had support. Chloe came over every Sunday to cook dinner and watch movies. Marcus dragged me to basketball games and forced me to rejoin the world. My parents called every few days their guilt, making them more attentive than they had ever been before. I started seeing a therapist. I learned that it was not my fault. I trusted the wrong person. I learned that being deceived does not make you stupid. It means you loved someone who did not deserve it. That is a reflection of their character, not mine. Slowly, day by day, I rebuilt my life. I threw myself into my work and got another promotion. I started running in the mornings, feeling my body grow stronger as my heart healed. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my marriage. I learned to enjoy my own company again. A year later, I can honestly say I am happy. Not just surviving, but genuinely content with my life. I am still single, but I am not lonely. When the right person comes along, I will be ready, but I am not rushing it. I have learned that loving yourself has to come first. The biggest lesson I took from all of this is that the truth always finds a way to surface. You can lie, manipulate, and scheme, but eventually the facade crumbles. Megan thought she could bury me under her accusations. Instead, she buried herself. I also learned who truly loved me. Chloe believed in me when no one else did. She looked past the accusations and saw the truth. That kind of loyalty is rare and precious. I will never forget what she did for me. And I learned not to let betrayal make me bitter. I could have spent years hating Megan, plotting revenge, drowning in anger, but that would only have poisoned my own life. Letting go was not about forgiving her, it was about freeing myself. If you are going through something similar right now, I want you to know this. The pain will pass, the truth will come out, and you will be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But eventually, you will look back at this moment and realize it was the beginning of a better chapter. Because sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to the greatest truths about others and about ourselves. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been wrongly accused by someone you trusted? How did you prove your innocence? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps more than you know. And if you have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know who might be going through their own nightmare right now. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for being part of this community. I wish you truth healing and the strength to stand up for yourself when no one else will. Until next time, take care of yourselves.